I still remember the day the letter came. It was raining, that thin, stubborn kind of rain that never really stops. The envelope was small, but it carried my whole life inside it. I tore it open right there at the kitchen table. Accepted. Medical school. My father's dream for me. My dream for me. When he died, he left a small savings account in my name. Enough to get me started, he said. Enough to put me in a white coat one day. I kept that dream close, almost like it was part of him still here. So I went to my mother, smiling through the rain, ready for her to say she was proud, ready for her to tell me we could start the next chapter. But she didn't smile. She just kept stirring Greg's coffee, her boyfriend. And then, without looking me in the eye, she said, "Helen, I've decided to use the money for something else. Greg's starting a business. It's an investment for our future." Our future, not mine. I just froze. The money my father left, gone, handed to a man who never cared about us, a man who never hid the way he saw me as nothing more than an inconvenience. That night, I lay in bed listening to them laughing in the kitchen while my acceptance letter sat on the desk in front of me. I wanted to hate her, and part of me did. But mostly, I felt empty, like something inside me had been scooped out. The next months were survival. I picked up a part-time job at a diner, then another shift cleaning offices at night. I'd study on my breaks, textbooks balanced between plates of cold fries and stacks of invoices. My feet blistered, my back ached, and every night I'd come home too tired to cry. Some days I wanted to quit, but then I'd hear my father's voice in my head. "You're going to make a fine doctor one day." And I'd keep going. I learned to live on cheap coffee and instant noodles. I learned that exhaustion could become a normal state of being. And somehow, slowly, I scraped together enough for my first semester. Then the next. Then the next. By my final year, my mother and I spoke less and less. I didn't trust her enough to share my victories, and she didn't try to ask about them. One cold morning, near the end of my residency, I was reviewing patient charts when a nurse called me over. "There's a woman in the ER," she said. "No insurance. Says she knows you." I stepped into the curtained bay, and there she was. My mother. Her hair was thinner, her skin pale, and she looked smaller somehow. She wouldn't meet my eyes at first. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. "Greg left. Took everything. I got sick, Helen. I didn't know where else to go." The chart said pneumonia, severe. She'd been ignoring the symptoms for weeks, too afraid of the hospital bill to come sooner. For a long moment, I just stood there. All those nights of counting tips, all those hours of mopping floors, knowing she'd chosen him over me. Every ache, every humiliation, every lonely birthday. It all came flooding back. I could have walked away. Part of me wanted to, but then I thought about my father, about the kind of doctor I promised I'd be, about the daughter I still wanted to be, even if she hadn't been the mother I needed. So I took a breath, pulled the stethoscope from around my neck, and said, "Let's get you admitted, Mom. We'll take care of you." Her eyes filled with tears. "I'm so sorry, Helen. I don't deserve this." I swallowed hard. "Maybe not. But I'm not doing this because you deserve it. I'm doing it because I can." Over the next week, I checked on her every day. I adjusted her oxygen, explained her meds, made sure the nurses treated her with dignity. And in the quiet moments, when she was awake enough to talk, we spoke. Not about Greg, not about the money, but about us. The anger was still there, somewhere deep, but it no longer controlled me. When she was finally discharged, I walked her to the hospital doors. She turned to me, voice trembling. "You're a better person than I ever was. Your father would be proud." And for the first time in years, I let her hug me. I've learned that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean what happened was okay. It means I chose to stop carrying the weight of her mistakes. I'm Dr. Helen Matthews now, And every time I put on my white coat, I remember the price I paid for it. In sweat, in sleepless nights, and in the decision to be the kind of person I needed, even when my mother couldn't be.